Hi, it's Lisa. I asked for some questions so that I could answer them in a bit of a video series, and I got a number of really great questions. I'm going to cover off 3 of them for this video, and then I'll do the remaining in future videos. The first one is, what is the difference between leadership and management, if there is a difference? Well, the answer is yeah, there is a difference, but they're super interconnected. I think you can think of management as sort of the old command and control kind of style of managing people, where you would just tell them what to do and make sure they did it. The thing is that giving people guidance and direction, making sure they follow through on what they say they're going to do, is actually really important. Management is still there, and it's still an extremely important part of a leader. Leadership, you can think more as the people side or the relationship side of managing people. What you want to do is build great relationships with the people and get stuff done. As a manager, your job is to get stuff done through other people. So this becomes really important. So some people err on the side of being really task focused, and they kind of forget that these are human beings working for them, not robots. You know, this must be done, I don't care what you say, that sort of thing, and can be really focused on the numbers to the expense of the people. Now, some leaders can also be very focused on the people and not focus at all on getting the tasks done. So these are teams that everybody's really happy and gets along really well, but there's not a lot of forward momentum on a team with a leader who's really super people-oriented at the expense of the task orientation. Being a really task-oriented manager is appropriate sometimes. So if the building is on fire, you want to tell your employees to get the hell out. You're not going to sit down with them and have a conversation with them about why they should get out. You're just going to tell them to get out. Also, you want to sometimes throw aside the task and the deliverables and really just deal with the human being in front of you. So if your employee comes into your office and sits down and says, I was just diagnosed with breast cancer, take a minute. You'll get to talking about the person's tasks and how those are going to be met later, but right now, deal with the human being who's in front of you. Those kind of extreme circumstances aside, most of the time, what you want to do is to actually be really strong on both the focus on people and the focus on tasks. And oftentimes we know that both of those things are important, so we tend to water down both in order to try to meet somewhere in the middle. Well, I'd like you to think about it in a different way. Think about how you can deliver on that real people focus and that real task focus in order to be a really effective leader. And to me, leadership is really tying both those things together, the people and the task. You're not an effective leader if you're not doing both. So here's how to do that. You want to build relationships with your team by talking to them about the expectations, by showing them absolute respect, which means you never make assumptions about them as a person, that they're lazy, that they don't care about their job, that they're making mistakes on purpose. Any of those kinds of things, hugely disrespectful and very damaging to relationships. But you can actually say to someone, I have high expectations of you, and I want to support you to get there. At the same time, when you've assigned work, you need to be aware of what you've assigned or what the expectations are, and you need to communicate those really directly, even if the people side of you goes, oh, but I don't want to be so direct, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Well then, you know what? Be direct about the task, about the problem, and like I said, you know, don't insult the person in the process. But you really do need to call things to someone's attention if they're not meeting expectations, because to do otherwise is actually cruel. So your work is to really find that way of doing both. We'll go into that in a future video. That one kind of leads into the second question that I wanted to address. So the question was, what is your number 1 tip on communication in the workplace? This is hard. I don't love boiling things down to 1 tip, so I really had to think about this one. But I realized there is one foundational tip that I would give to anyone who asked me about how to be a better communicator, either in leadership or just as an individual contributor. And that would be to set assumptions aside. We do a lot of making assumptions about people, and they really cost us in our relationships, but also in our effectiveness. I'll give you an example. I gave someone feedback the other day, and they didn't receive it well. They pushed it away immediately. Now, I could have stopped there and said, well, I guess they don't want my feedback. And instead what I did was I said, okay, I can see that this is a conversation you don't want to have. You know, here is why I was bringing this to you. We can have the conversation if you want or not. In this case, they weren't a direct report, and it really was their choice whether they took in the feedback or not, because I was really doing it just for their benefit. When I kind of came back to it, they said, oh, you know, I understand now why you were giving me the feedback. And yeah, I guess I do want to hear it. And they received it quite well. So sometimes it's the way we approach it, and I'm sure I could have approached it better, or it's just the way that it catches them in that moment. And so making assumptions that somebody doesn't want the feedback is ineffective and doesn't help to build that relationship. We do that a lot sometimes in corporate environments. Oh, that person's such a this person is such a that. Don't make assumptions. Okay, the final question I'm going to deal with today is, what steps should you take when wanting a promotion? Again, this will probably be a separate video for going into a lot of detail here, but let me give you just a couple of tips. Something that I see with some of my clients and also with people who've reported to me in the past is a tendency to be thinking like an employee when they want to be moving into leadership. Now, of course, you have to think as an individual contributor to do your individual contributor job, but starting to move your thinking in the direction of leadership will help you a lot. And something to bring it to sort of one place to think is that an individual contributor gets to be a hero and a leader gets to be a hero maker. So what this means, oftentimes as individual contributors, we get a real thrill out of being the person who saves the day, the person who gets the badge, the first prize pinned to their chest. So there are certain behaviors when you're a high achieving individual contributor that really keep you in that place of, you know, what you need in order to demonstrate your capabilities. To move into more of the thinking of a hero maker, begin to focus on, what does the team need? How can I help the team or help my colleagues to excel? You're not saving the day and hiding that your teammate was having trouble. That's not what we're talking about here. It's about, if you have a teammate who's having trouble, how do you help build them up and allow them to learn and grow the skills that you may have that might feel very natural to you. If there are issues that you have the urge to kind of complain about, as far as, you know, the leadership or the organization, thinking about what role can you play in helping to improve that. So let's say the team is complaining a lot about not having the right tools to do the job. Well, as an individual contributor, you might join into the complaining. You might want to make some demands on your boss for getting the tools that the team needs. That's great. If you think about what might the reason be that those tools are missing, and then can you help the team to solve that, or to define better what it is they need? Or if they know that there's no money in the budget for it, then what's the end goal that the team is trying to achieve by getting those tools? And can those end goals be met in a different way? Some of those things are just different ways that you can start thinking that will really not only help show that you're ready for a promotion, but they'll actually help get you ready for the promotion, because you're going to be exercising that bigger picture thinking, that more constructive thinking, and being able to both see the point of view of the employee and the point of view of the organization. I hope that that's helpful, and I hope that answered those questions for you. If you have questions, post them in the comments or send them to me in a message. I would love to hear from you. If you have anything else that I can do to help you, please reach out, because I always love to hear from you. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.